Let Mark take over and so you can hear his message. So thanks again for coming.
All right, thanks Ken. Actually, a big thanks for Ken and Kelly for putting this on for me. It's great that they could host it. And a big thanks for all of you for coming here to take your time on your schedule to hear a little bit about me. I really appreciate that. And my wife Kim back there, I want to thank her for her support and for tolerating my little extra stress during this time. I didn't quite know what I was getting into when I got into this. So with that, I'll just kind of get things started. Talk a little bit about me personally so you get a feel for my background. My wife and I have been married, Kim and I have been married for 16 years now. We are small business owners. We own Salon Raya on Henry Street. We actually bought it, I think, about 7 years ago, a little HUD house, converted it to a six-station salon. So we had to bring it 100% up to commercial code, work through the city with that. So I learned a lot working with the city, working with the different departments, zoning, planning, inspections. It all went pretty smooth. We've been living in the Bluffton neighborhood since 2000. Before that, we lived on Apple Ave. So I've been in the city for 16 years. My wife's been born and raised here. She's lived in the city for maybe 20, I think, in the actual city. I graduated from Western Michigan University with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering back in 1988. So I've pretty much spent my entire career as an engineer, kind of working up through the ranks. And my hobbies, I kiteboard, so if it's a windy day, you'll see Don and I down in Roberto back there out in Pierre Marquette, kiteboarding, and Billy. Play a lot of volleyball. In fact, Kimmy and I met at the Y at an indoor league, and we still play a lot of beach volleyball together. So the beach is pretty much our life in the summer. And I also, I'm really into running and swimming and any kind of fitness activity. I like to stay fit, and which doesn't seem important, but Muskegon County's got a problem. We're actually identified as probably one of the worst health counties around. And I think that's something, there's an initiative called 1 in 21. We want to be #1 in health in the year 2021. And I think that's a great initiative. I think we need to ramp it up. But I also think it's good that some of our community leaders are good positive role models in that area. Currently I'm employed at SAF Holland. And to give you a little background on my position, I thought we'd cover a little bit about SAF Holland. People that are from Muskegon would know it as New Way or New Way Anchor Lock. When I started there, it was called New Way Anchor Lock. It changed in 1999. A company in Holland, Michigan called Holland Hitch bought us, and it became the Holland Group. And then in 2007, a company called SAF out of Germany bought us, and we became SAF Holland. And that same year, they actually took us public, so it was a pretty exciting year for us. So we supply the global commercial vehicle market, meaning semi-trucks, semi-trailers, big motorhomes, buses. So you kind of see the yellow stuff down here is the products that we make. We're a very large global company. We were $850 million last year. So we're a big company. We're all over the world. We've got manufacturing. I think we've got 10 manufacturing facilities, some in the United States. We have some in China. We've got a JV in India. And we've got sales offices just on every continent. So we're a big company. We're actually divided into 3 business units. That's how our structure works. We have the power business unit, which basically if it's got an engine, there's products that are going on it, you're in the power group. And then the trailer group, and then aftermarket. So I'm a member of the power group. I'm actually vice president of product engineering. So my responsibilities, actually before I even start on that, these are the products that we make. This product here is actually made in Muskegon, Michigan. Out by the highway is our manufacturing facility. The one on the lower is made in Wiley, Texas, and we're actually assembled in Muskegon. So these are some of the products that we make right here in town. But anyways, my responsibilities, I manage 3 design centers. I have a design center in Muskegon, Michigan that reports to me, one in Holland, Michigan, and one in Zingen, Germany. So we're responsible for the research and development and the launching of new products, the application of new products, all over the world. So I have extensive international business experience in strategic planning, budgeting, and staffing. And that's something that really falls in line with the responsibilities of a board. The county board is responsible for setting budgets and financial oversight and setting policy for all the county government and the county services such as the mats, the buses, the airports, Brookhaven. So basically any county-owned government, the board watches over them and gives financial oversight and sets policy for it. So I also collaborate a lot with the international folks. I do a lot of presentations at customers trying to get my competitors' business away from them. And I also am in frequent contact with our board of directors. My boss is actually the president of the power unit, so he sits on the management board. So I understand what a board of directors is supposed to do and how they're supposed to interact with their employees, which I think is very, very important. Political motivation. This is kind of funny because I've never been politically motivated. I was the guy, if there was politics being talked about in the room, I would just get out of there because the conversation was going to go on and I didn't want any part of it. But when I started working in Holland again, when I took on the Holland Design Center 5 years ago, I started spending 1 or 2 days a week there. And driving through Ottawa County and coming back to Muskegon, I noticed just a lot of differences. I mean, even during the recession, Ottawa County was always developing. There's always new buildings going up. There's just seemed like there's industry moving in there. Things are just cleaner. And you know, and working in the Holland office, you know, they'd always poke fun at Muskegon, boy, you know, not safe there. And if it gets, you know, I like being the underdog, but not to the point that we are. So I started kind of getting involved and looking into what is the real driver. Why is Ottawa County doing so good? And yes, they do have some big names and some big money coming into that town, which helps them, but that's not all of it. So I started just kind of looking into Muskegon County and some of the numbers. The county publishes, every county publishes every year the financial, it's called the CAFR, the Consolidated Financial Annual Report. So basically all the money that's spent and all the budgeting is in this 250-page document. Pretty boring. So I started looking at this stuff and I found out that our bonded, I did like a 10-year window of it. And our bonded debt has tripled in the last decade. Our county's pension and health funds have lost ground in the last decade, every year. So in last year we lost another $2 million ground. So we're basically spending more money than we should. We're just losing ground year after year. I already mentioned the poor health behaviors. We were ranked, there was a big study done, I think it was actually this year. They did a survey of all the Michigan counties except for one. I'm not sure why the one was left out. But we ranked in healthy behaviors, we ranked second to last. In overall health, I think we were 77. So we're very bottom of all the counties as far as health. And why is that a big deal? Well, the big deal is health insurance for companies is probably one of the biggest variable expenses there is now. If you're looking at the books, it's like, holy, look at that number. I mean, it's just huge. And most companies now that are large are self-insured, meaning if you go to the doctor and spend $500, it costs the company $500. I mean, it's not an insurance company paying for it. If it was, your premiums would go up anyways. So it's costing companies a lot of money to have unhealthy employees. So if a new company's come into town, they're going to look for a healthy environment. They don't want a bunch of sick people working for them and hurt their bottom line. So strike one against Muskegon. The current leadership needs help with long-term planning. I started looking at other counties and seeing what they do well, and a lot of counties do strategic planning very well. They have long-term plans. They have 5-year plans and 10-year plans. I went and tried to find Muskegon's long-term plan. I ran across an article in MLive that mentioned that there actually was a strategic planning session held back in 2010. I couldn't find anything published on the web, so I started calling around people at the county, and finally the director of finance actually found the notes from the meeting. And it basically, nothing happened from it. It was actually looked like they had a pretty productive meeting. They came out with a lot of good information, but it went nowhere. So, and 2 years later, it hasn't even been talked about, other than the highest priority is the jail. So I think anybody who's worked at a company that's successful, you know that to be successful, you have to have long-term planning. You got to stick to the plan, and you can revise it, but you work it. So I think Ottawa County is basically leveraging their opportunities, and actually Ottawa County has a strategic plan that I'm going to actually follow next time we do it at our work, because it was so well laid out. I mean, it was just very well done. So I actually started looking into Ottawa County versus Muskegon County just to kind of benchmark us against them to see if you can kind of see where the differences are. So this is all the kind of information you find in the annual reports and on the web and census. So Muskegon County has 91,000 less residents than Ottawa. They have, I think, 50 square miles less than Ottawa. So Ottawa basically is a lot bigger area, a lot more residents. Full-time employees, we have almost 1,400 versus their 900. Now, we have an old folks home, they don't. So if you take the old folks home, Brookhaven, out of it, we're still we're still over 200 people more in government than Ottawa. So they're somehow able to do things more efficiently than we are. So I think there's some things we can do there. Bonded debt, we're at 156 million versus their 23. Theirs actually increased 3 years ago because they built a new courthouse, but for 10 years they've been going down, built a new courthouse, and now they're going down again. So they're able to keep their bonded debt at a good level.
Mark, can I just ask a question? We've got $156 million in bonded debt. Now, it appears to be for sure that the county's going to go ahead and build a new jail. That's going to be $20 to $45 million. Would that go on top of this?
That will go on top of that, which, 20 to 30%. And that's a pretty big deal because, Ottawa County, they're very low. They have one of the highest bond ratings, so they pay a lower interest rate. So we're already, I think we're like the third highest bond ratings, which is not good when you start getting lower. You start paying a higher interest rate. Now the problem is, if we had too much debt on top of this, we look like a riskier county, and when they start ranking us lower, we don't just pay higher interest on that loan, we pay it on all the loans. So it starts costing you more money the more money you spend. If you look at debt per resident, we're at 905 versus Ottawa County at 87. And Ottawa County turns out they're number one. They were actually number 2 in the health and they're number 1 in debt, which is, I guess, is good because if new jobs are going to come, they might as well come close to us so we don't have to move far. But that's the wrong attitude. I'd rather have people moving this way. But if you look at the average county debt in all the Michigan counties, it's 438. So we're double the average. So again, we're on the wrong end of the scale. We've got to be more responsible with our spending. When you look at the pension and the health debt, we're at 110 million, and as I mentioned, we lost $2 million more ground last year. So we're very underfunded. I think our health benefits fund is at about a 30% funded level, and our benefits is at 80%. It used to be at 82. What they did is they made it an objective that they're going to get the health fund more funded. But it turned out that was at the expense of the pension fund. So we can't keep up with both, so we have to start making some changes there. So in the end of the day, Ottawa County residents pay less tax for their property tax, and they have a better unemployment rate than we do. So basically, there's things that we can be doing better. So my perspective is, and you kind of see where this is going, is that businesses are going to be attracted to counties that are proactive and fiscally responsible and socially responsible. I mean, we've got to be more responsible. Michigan right now had been at like the bottom 20 as far as attractiveness for business, 20 out of the 83 counties. We're actually now getting close to the top 20. There's a lot of things happening. I'm not going to argue if it's right or wrong or the way we're getting there, but the fact of it is, we're being ranked a lot higher for more business friendly. As the economy gets better, industries are going to start looking on where to go. They're going to go to industry. They're going to go to state-friendly places, and they're going to start looking at counties. So we need to start being more attractive to businesses. And this is not something that you do in a year. This is not something you do in 2 years. We're talking, this is a 10-year project. And what this is going to do is it's a domino effect. Once jobs start getting created, obviously the property values go up because people are moving in, and things stabilize. Reduce crime rate as the unemployment goes down, and we can start having more and better services. So it's a win-win. So how do we get there? Well, first thing is, my first priority if I get elected is to basically benchmark other counties. Let's look at other counties besides Ottawa. I actually stumbled across Oakland County, who I think actually it was Jim had the HR director on there, boy, it was a year ago. And they were talking about how they identified 10 years ago that they had this problem with debt. And it took them 10 years, but they now have a balanced budget. All their pension funds are 100% funded. So they've gotten themselves out of it, but it took them 10 years to get out of it. They also have a very good strategic plan. So there's things that we can be doing. And the other thing that Oakland County did that I found interesting is they actually had a committee set up, and this committee was all the different department heads, and they literally went out and they searched what all their good ideas other counties were doing. Because in engineering, we have a saying, it's all been done before. You just have to be better at it. Figure out what somebody else did and do it better. Well, they figured, you know what, let's not invent something new. Let's just go out and find out what other counties did that's successful. They found 40 of these projects, and they ranked them. Now they're working through them. I tried to get the list from the guy, but they're pretty possessive about it. I think if I had a little more clout behind me, I could actually get the list. So basically, I want to start implementing best-in-class fiscal policy and metrics. Good starting spot. Strategic planning, I mentioned we don't really have one. I think we need to get a good strategic plan, and that's not only for the head county, we really need it for all the services. You know, Matt should have one, they should have a 5-year plan. Brookhaven should have a 5-year plan, and they should be held to it, they should be held accountable for it. The other good thing about having a good strategic plan is nobody likes change. If people start talking about change at work, everybody hates it. The fact of it is if you have a good strategic plan that shows why you have to make change, it's a great communications tool. Ken and I work together for several years now, and we've gone through the hard times at least twice. And the heads of our company would come to us when it's hard time, and they literally, you'd walk out of the room with a 10% pay cut, but they'd explain to you why you had to take it, because they show you all the finances and all the reasons. And you'd walk out, yeah, you wouldn't be happy about it, but you'd understand. That's what we need to start doing better. Which brings me into my third thing, is just better communication with the stakeholders in Muskegon and regional governments. I think we need to do simple dashboards for these projects and for these departments. You know, you don't need to look through 250 pages. You need a 1-page snapshot of all the important stuff. You use red, yellow, green. Green, it's on track. Yellow, we're trending the wrong way. And red, bad news. Something needs to happen here. So simple things like this can really go a long way. Yes, I was waiting for this. In summary, I believe my business skills and leadership abilities can be leveraged at the county level. I think I can make a difference. The reasons I got promoted through the system is I can launch projects. I know how to work with people. I think I can take that to the board, and I can make these things happen. I've also got some endorsements. Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce, I did the questionnaires and the surveys and the interviews with them. They give me the highest ranking of a 5. I don't want to say anything bad about my incumbent, Commissioner Cross, but he got a 3. Mayor Warrington, former Mayor Warrington's here. I'm in his camp. He's got the big thank you Mark Molitor on his sign, so I definitely appreciate his support. But I need other support. So, what am I asking you guys to do? I'm not asking for money. Someone else did. But you know, you're obviously all leaders of this county, you have a lot of friends, you can pass my message along. I mean, it's as simple as, there's a lot of straight poll voters out there. Hey, don't just vote for the Democratic, Republican, give this guy a look. Give him a look. I went and saw him. Liking me on Facebook, I mean, it's free. Just get on my site, my business cards, all the stuff's around. It's got my sites on there. Get on Facebook, like me, share my stuff. Just help me get the word out. If you really like what you hear, you can write a quick endorsement in the Chronicle, and it has to be quick because they only allow 300 words. So it's as simple as, hey, I saw this Mark Molitor guy, seems like he has his act together, I think he can help. Sign your name and send it in them live. Good as that. So I'll leave you with that every vote does count, especially in local elections. The Fruitport Commissioner race, there's 2 Democrats in it. So the race was the primary. It came down to, after the recount, I think it was 24 votes. So 24 votes upset a seat on the board. So it's that close. When Amber ran against Ben 2 years ago, it was 230. So every vote counts in a local election. So I'll open it up for questions, but I'll preface it with I'm new to this, so I don't have all the answers yet. But if I don't have them, I'll get them. So, is there any questions? Give me a softball first.
I have a question.
Okay.
In your company, do you have union workers?
Yes, we do. I think just about, in fact, I think almost every one of our plants is unionized.
Any experience in working with
I've never had to work in the negotiations, but our companies and the union have worked well together. We did have a strike/work stoppage years ago. I actually worked in the plant through that. The hatchet's been buried, so to speak, and we're all back to being friends. Again, I think they understood that it's a competitive world out there. I mean, we all have taken concessions. I mean, I've taken concessions. If you want to keep the doors open, you got to take concessions, unfortunately. The competition is, I've been to the competition, China and India, and it's scary what they don't have to do. So, good question.
Mark, consolidation of services is a real hot button issue in our community, and some county commissioners have been on the record as saying that they don't think it's a county initiative. The county shouldn't be involved in that. What's your position on it?
I kind of see the county as should be the leaders and stuff like that. I don't agree with all consolidation of services. I think there's a lot of things I think the water filtration is a good example. So I think definitely the county should take a lead role in that. I mean, they're the ones, I mean, we're kind of over, you know, we're the big, you know, like the state's over us. We should be taking the lead in that stuff. And I'm for certain consolidation. It has to be looked at. But I will preface it with, we've got to get our current act together a little bit, because if you're not managing things well as a board, you don't want to manage more things as a board. You just, you know, it's just going to get worse. So I think we got to get our current act together a little bit first. And no offense to Alan here, he's trying.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, there you go.
We bring in about $220 million from the state and federal for misbehavior, what I would say most of it is. Where Ottawa probably brings in maybe 70 or 80.
So we're actually bringing less.
Yeah, and we bring in so much more. Can you see a way of making it so the behavior of the county? Because really the fatter we get, the less educated we get, they come to keep handing us all this money, try to fix the problem.
I think that's going to stop. I think the government, I think the state's going to take care of that, because it seems that they're actually starting to put some metrics against us, and if you don't meet those metrics, it's coming down. So I got a feeling that might be work its way out on its own, and unfortunately maybe in worse shape because of that. But I think it's going to be people like you and I working hard to get the rest of them on our side.
Yeah, because I think you've got directors that have lived off this money for so long. They're having a hard time giving up anything that you can see it.
I see, you know, I've been to a few board meetings, I've watched a lot, and they're pretty uneventful. And, you know, a perfect example was the MAX. They decided that they want to do a new route to some of the outskirts. And they applied for, which is fine, they applied for a $2.3 million grant for the buses. There was no business, they basically went and said, hey, we'd like approval to apply for the grant. And I wrote a letter to the head of the bus that runs MAT. I said, you know, can I see your business plan? What are you talking about? You know, is there a need for this? What's it going to cost beyond the buses? Usually they only fund a certain portion of the bus. You have to fund the maintenance. You know, how are we going to pay for it? And oh yeah, we're going to get that before the grant. Before the money comes up, we're going to get that. And then now they approved to accept the grant, and there's still no plan. So there's, in our company, if you came and said, hey, I want to spend, you know, $2.3 million, and you didn't have some pretty hard facts, they would, you know, get out of the room. So I think that's the kind of stuff that board of directors should be doing. Where's your numbers? Where's your plan? If you don't have one, don't come back. Come back when you're more prepared. I'm sorry. You know, good idea. Look into it further. We have principles at our work, and one of them is fact and data driven. Don't come to me with innuendos. Oh, we really need this. It's going to cost a little bit. You know, come in with facts. Come in with data, because we're going to challenge you later on. Any others? Oh.
What role does the commissioner play in educational programs, and what vision do you have for that? And
really, I think county commission does not, unless I'm wrong, I don't believe county commission gets much into education. I wish instead of spending $30 million in a jail, we could do something to stop the problem where it starts, but days behind me on that one. But not much on that. I don't think there's any involvement in education. Well, that's a good lead. Oh, well.
I'm from North Shore.
Yep.
And I'd like to know where you think the county might fit into the water issue. The community, the county, can't wait 10 years till the county commission gets their act together to resolve this water issue.
The water filtration consolidation, meaning we've got the filtration in the heights, we have the filtration in the city.
Do we build new plants? Do we consolidate old plants? Where do we go?
If this was a private company, it had been done already, we would probably close the smallest of the plants, the one that has the most capacity would take care of us, and we'd figure out how to do that. And I think that's what the county is there to do. They should be working with the different organizations, all the different municipalities, and getting this thing just resolved. And if it, you know, unfortunately you've got, and this is like this every project that I've ever launched in my life, there's always people with other agendas, and you got to work through that. And that's just something that, there is no magic thing, it's just finding out what's this guy's hot button, and going and talk to him, and just fusing the situation. So, but that is something the county should do, I believe.
You think you could provide some leadership in that on the,
That's what I do for a living. That's what I do now, so.
all right, thank you.
Mark, can I just make a comment?
Yep.
My name is Jim Riley, and I was running for county commissioner in Norton Shores and lost, but I learned a lot in the election. But I do a radio show called I Am Muskegon. It's every Sunday morning from 8:30 to 10, and I post the shows and any number of videos and things on the IamMuskegon.com website. But Francine asked me a question. She said, Jim, if you're going to run, what could one person do to change things? And Commissioner Alan Jagger here is just finishing his first term, and he's one of 11 now. We'll soon be, in January, we'll be down to 9. And it's really purely through Commissioner Alan Jagger's bravery and courage where he would ask questions, and you can go to my blog and click on any one of the county commission meetings, and it's very disheartening how not interested the commissioners are, and how incurious they are. They very rarely ask a question, and it was because of Alan Jagger that we're finding out some of these things, finding places to go. Alan and his wife go through these 200 and 300 and 400 page books. If we got a second or a third or a fourth person on what will soon be a 9-member board, we can start to make an argument, a reason, just as you presented up here. Something I wish I'd had your data in the way you had it. I might have done better in my race. But these commissioners are not simply representing their own district. Matter of fact, in terms of constituent services, there's very little. You really are, in fact, one of 9. Hopefully Alan, and I would strongly recommend that you support Alan, and he's going to have a very tough race because they changed his district. But Mark, Alan, Captain Fred Birch, who's up in Montague running against the county board chairman, Ken Mahoney, and Susie Hughes, who ran as a Democrat, but she is a fiscal conservative. If we get these 3 new folks in, that will be 4 people who think the way that we think out of 5. And already another commissioner lost in one of the primaries, Charles Nash, who represents the other part of Muskegon, I believe. He is somebody that we can work with, and so is Rolestine Wilkins. And truly, this county can change, and it's not going to change in 10 years, but businesses who see your plan and see that, in fact, you have a plan going forward to fix the mess, that will then start to attract businesses. So whether you live in Norton Shores or you live up in, doesn't matter where you live, we have 3 people here that can, honestly, they can change the nature and the future of this county. And we've got a mayor, I don't know if Mayor Warmington's still here, but he knows the kind of support he got. He's been very vocal about the lack of support that he got from the county. And his enthusiastic support of Mark, I think, says just volumes. But this is really important. We are so close to fixing this county. And these 3 elections are truly the most important. I think that since I've lived in Muskegon, and I moved here in the 70s, so thank you for your hard work.
Absolutely. Oh, one more.
Well, you represent a district who has a pressing issue right now with the Sappy site, and I understand that this is not really a county-wide issue, but could you tell us where you stand on that issue, what you see?
Right, that falls under the jurisdiction. It's on the responsibility of the city. As a resident, I'm not in favor of a scrapyard. Unfortunately, it is zoned industrial. I'm afraid that my fear is that if this comes down to a vote where we want the community votes that it's going to change, that we're going to end up in a lawsuit that we can't win, and we're going to end up spending a lot of money. And we're still going to end up with a scrapyard, but in the meantime, it's going to be a field of debris because mulching will take what's valuable out of there, and then it'll sit there dormant. So I think we've just got to do a good job of working with him. If it is a scrapyard, I know he was talking about building berms and making it not visible. But unfortunately, he bought an industrial piece of property. It's kind of like that bell is rung. You can't unring it. I think if we try to stop him, it's literally just going to cost the city a lot of money, and it's going to end up being the same. It's going to end up being a scrapyard if that's what he truly wants. So unfortunately, ship the sale. So, any others? If not, I'm going to be a little bit selfish here. I want to plug a couple things. I bought you drinks, so. Bill O'Brien is here. Bill Earl O'Brien. He started a group called Men Who Care, Muskegon County Men Who Care, and before that, it was kind of based on the same Muskegon County Women Who Care. And it's an organization where it's not really a charity, but it's a group of guys that get together once a quarter. We pledge to give $100 every quarter, and what you do is you come into the meeting, you put your charity that you want to pledge in a hat. You pick 3 out. Whoever's 3 get picked out have to give a 5-minute spiel on it. You know what's good about it, how it helps the community, how they're going to spend the money. You ask questions for 5 minutes. He's really good about 10 minutes, and you're done. And then you vote on it, and you write the check for $100. You don't see each other again, but I think we have a little over 100 members. This is our 5th meeting. Next Wednesday at 6 o'clock, our 5th meeting is coming up. 5th or 4th?
Pardon me?
Is this our 5th or 4th meeting?
Fourth meeting.
4th. So we'll have, after this meeting, given to the community $40,000.
Yeah.
We've given to Father Jack Foundation last time. I think we've given to the Muskegon area people, the Rescue Mission.
Mission for Area People, Family Promise,
Yep.
and Father Jack.
So Bill, big community leader. I'm a fan of his, and he's also running for the school board. He's been on the school board. He was on it for 8 years, I believe, and then he retired from it, and then they called him back because someone moved out. So he's been working as a great school board member. He's actually got 2 people running against him. So when it comes time to vote in November, remember Bill, I think it's under Earl, Bill Earl O'Brien.
Yeah.
Earl O'Brien. So, and I think Annette Smedley's also here. I don't know if you want to take 2 minutes. She's running for circuit judge.
Good evening, I'm Annette Smedley. I am running for circuit court judge. It's going to be a tough election because I'm running against a man who is part of the prosecutor's office and has got the whole prosecutor's office team behind him out there running and knocking on doors. So I've been an attorney for over 10 years. I believe that I have the experience to be able to take this position. I have experience not only in criminal law. A circuit court judge has to handle several different fields, which is civil, criminal, family law, and I have experience in all those. I've done something in all those fields within the 10 years, over the 10 years that I have been an attorney. My opponent has been criminal law. So I'm the most qualified, even though the years that I have is less than what he has. But that's because I raised a family. We have 6 children, and my husband we have been married for 32 years. And we have 10 grandchildren. So what I did was I actually worked as a waitress, raised a family and stuff before I actually went to law school. I thought, that's where I always was going to be an attorney, but there was other things that I needed to do before that. So I believe that there's a group that I had went to a couple weeks ago. They meet on Mondays at noon, and it's the Exchange Club. And I believe one of the programs that they have is a very important program that will help stop the repeat offenders. Something that you were talking about, that we need to stop it before they get to that jail stage. They go to 6th through 8th grade classes, and they go to every school, and they talk to 6th and 8th graders about prevention, what you should do not to get into that trouble, and how to go about that. They're a small group. It's went down and down and down. It's been there for I believe they said, like over 60 years or something they've been there, but it's dwindling. And so I think that's a good program. I've involved myself into that, and I think that's a good program to get into. So if any community person wants to get involved in that, they do meet on Mondays at the Masonic Temple between 12 and 1. It's a good program if anybody wants to be involved in that. I believe that I'm the most qualified, and I'm asking for all of your votes in November. I will be the first female circuit court judge in Muskegon County. I was told when I was running, and there were 6 of us in the primary, that I wasn't going to make it because I am female, and that Muskegon County would not tolerate a female circuit court judge. I could run for district court, but I wasn't qualified for circuit court. So we're going to show them in November, and I would ask for everybody's vote. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
No problem. Thanks everyone for coming and for your support. Those little flags are actually made in the United States, so take those as well.